Hello and welcome back to Nerd News Today Toy Fair 2021. And now joining us on the other side of the screen, we have the marketing director from a brand new toy company. Today we're speaking with Charmaine Tam from EXO-6. Charmaine, how's it going today?
Hi, everyone. I'm doing good. How are you, Matthew?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for being here today. There's a
Yeah,
definite
thanks for
lot of
having
hype.
me.
Yeah, sure. There's definitely a lot of hype going on right now around EXO-6. You guys kind of came out of nowhere with a very big announcement, which I'm super excited to talk about today. But first things first, before we jump into that, Charmaine, what was your favorite toy as a kid growing up?
I was more on the traditional side. I played with Barbies a lot when I grew up. I remember I had the little convertible for Barbie, so I loved all the attachment as well. I definitely bought like extra packs for Barbie and her clothes and her shoes, so I definitely am very familiar with playing with toys as a kid. But that's just a little bit about me. I loved my Barbie convertible. It was pink. I loved it.
I had a lot of like 12-inch GI Joes and some of the Ultimate Soldiers, and like I always wanted to. I was never able to get one, but I always wanted to get like some of those convertibles for the Barbie size figures and just like repaint them and like just like glue some bazookas on or something and make them like Deathmobiles because they didn't really make
Yeah.
portable tanks and things like that really. So that was always my dream. I don't know if you ever did that yourself, but just something I always wanted to do.
I don't think I've ever customized anything, but I've definitely had GI Joe ride in the convertible with Barbie for a while. My cousin, he's around my age as well growing up. He played with GI Joes and I would be playing with Barbies, and sometimes they would get together and hang out in the convertible.
So what is your background in toy making?
I personally am not focused in toy making at all, so I don't have too much experience in toys, but I do have a background in marketing. I used to work in agencies in New York. We also worked with collectibles. So I was helping the team at the time when Zippo did their rebranding for changing from the lighter focus to the collectibles actually. So we went from being more like smoking oriented to being something that you would show in films and it actually creates like a moment. Like we trademarked the sound of Zippo, so transitioning over to the high end collectibles and kind of making a statement with the brand. So I'm very familiar with that. And yeah, I'm kind of more of like the marketing social media person on the team. And I think Nanjin and our other director, Dave, would be more the toy experts. They both have experience in 1/6 Star Trek. So previous to this, they were kind of poached just from being on like the Sideshow Freaks forum. So Dave and Nanjin met on that forum maybe 10 years ago together, and it was just their shared love for 1/6 Star Trek, just communicating on the forums, being pals, and then getting poached from a company to actually do this professionally. So that's kind of how they met, and yeah, from there they started to want to do more of their own thing, to create EXO-6. They thought that Star Trek wasn't going in the direction that they wanted, and also in any direction at all. I guess
Very true.
there was kind of a slight pause on the Star Trek stuff, so they decided to branch out on their own and create EXO-6. So they hired me to kind of help on the marketing side because that's not really their forte. Their forte is mostly in toys, which they've shown to me that they have a very high level of expertise and care with these toys and figures, I should say, actually, because they're not just toys that I would be playing like with my Barbie or with GI Joe. These are definitely like collector items that I wouldn't be giving it to a kid at all, you know. So Nanjin has had a lot of experience kind of producing and finding, scouting artists to hand sculpt our figureheads, which is a really unique part of EXO-6. We really tried to promote the artists as well. So if you can see on our Instagram, we've tagged the artists who did the 3D renderings as well as the head sculpts. So you can go ahead and check out their profiles. But they do a fabulous job, and we want to, work with people who are inspired by or want to uphold the Star Trek universe as best as they can. And I think that they're doing an amazing job, and they're really, really great at like Nanjin and Dave are really great at sourcing these things and being really head on the nail on trying to get everything as accurate as possible. And judging by the response that we got from the release, like I have to say that they've definitely hit it on the head with that.
Yeah, I would definitely agree, and it's really cool because I'm glad you mentioned that. Basically, Nanjin is essentially, and the team is taking Star Trek toys and doing what they want with them, because Star Trek has been a license that has been kind of pooped on. Essentially, there's no other nice way to say it. We've seen the past few years, McFarlane did like one wave, and that was the end of it. QMX was doing their figures, and those didn't go too far either. Migos doing their own thing. Migos kind of got their own little special thing going on, but for the most part, I mean, Star Trek toys have been at a standstill for many, many years. So when I heard EXO-6 was around and it's going to be doing something Star Trek, I was super excited. And then I actually saw the reveal that you guys are doing, which is the first contact version of Data, and I was completely blown away by it. It looks amazing. So yeah, let's just start with I think one of the most important things about this, and that's a lot of the production of this figure is going to actually be done in house. Whereas most toys
Yes,
typically,
that's true.
send out other places, other countries to be done. You guys are keeping this as a good part of it. It's going to be actually done in house.
That's completely correct. So we will have kind of the full mobility over production or creation. So we're able to, manipulate certain things about the molds, let's say, like for a phaser or for the body. So right now there's some kind of unique characters that are down the ways that we're creating new molds for. That's really, really exciting. That will have like an accurate representation. So we are control all that completely. And Nanjin really goes over the top on trying to make it as accurate as possible. We go through like multiple prototypes before we get the right look and sizing of everything. And we're able to kind of have control over that too. So hopefully down the line, when we're a little bit more established, we'll be able to have people join in on the conversation and help us talk about what comes next maybe, and to vote on some stuff. But that's kind of down the line. That's kind of our goal for the future, is to have you guys come communicate with us, because we do have control over the production and the manufacturing.
And so I'm curious too, your first launching figure with this whole series is Data. So why go with Data instead of like Captain Picard or Captain Kirk, something like that? What's the rationale for going with Brent Spiner?
Yeah, I think Data represents, the time that we're living in now. He was the basis of inspirations for a lot of AI companies that are out there and robotic companies. So, I think First Contact was really an interesting movie as well, to describe the internal struggles that Data is kind of having, being a human, being, a robot, like what's happening to him. And I think that's really kind of speaks to the time that we're in now as well. So it's very timely with everything, not just maybe like let's hit it over the top with the generic like best captain, type of first figure. We're actually taking a little breath, like trying to connect with what is happening in this day and age. Um, and it's kind of inspiring to see that Data has been kind of the inspiration for all these big companies, and we can be one of those big companies as well. So that's kind of why we chose Data.
Now, can you kind of walk us through the figure a little bit here? So this is a 12-inch figure. He's got some different heads, different accessories. Can you just kind of walk us through what this figure comes with and what it's going to ultimately be?
So he comes with an articulated body, which comes with 30 points, which Nanchen has created it himself, and it moves very well. There's 30 points, and which he moves in his wrists and his elbows and the shoulders and everything. And he also comes with, from First Contact, the unique 2 heads, which is very unique for this type of build, which is why we are offering kind of a little bit higher price point than we would typically. Like if it was just one head, we would have a less expensive price point. But because of this 2 heads, it's kind of like a unique thing. There's one that's just Data, his normal face, full face, with the like slight greenish tint to his skin tone. And there's one where he is being transformed by the Borg with the half face, the human half face. So I think that is really unique, and you can kind of tell a lot of storylines through that as well, on your own, on a lot of people's own adventures when they take it home. I think that's quite unique And there's a lot of conversation that you can start with that. Again, like I mentioned before with the first contact movie, a lot of internal struggle. I think like a lot of people can relate to that as they start manipulating these toys and these figures and taking them into their own houses. Um, Another unique point in this is that we are having this display case, a display base, sorry, that goes underneath data that he stands on, and it will be looking like one of the hexagons from the transporter pad, which is a pretty unique touch that Nanjin just kind of like put in there that I think is pretty unique. As we grow, you'll see the transporters will come together, the transporter pads will come together very nicely and neatly. He also comes with a hand phaser and a couple other accessories like the tricorder. I think you can see it over here actually. A few things over here. The tricorder and the phaser rifle. And he has a few like action hands over here where he's like holding or palm open and closed. So that's just the basis of what he comes with. In his uniform, he comes with a very accurate uniform to the movie, and he has the boots as well. So his uniform is also attached with magnets, so the phasers and the rifle can attach to the hip. The phaser and the tricorder can attach to the hip of his belt or the midsection. And yeah, that's basically kind of like the solid details of Data and what he comes with.
Yeah, that's very cool. I'm super duper excited to actually see this thing in hand when it actually does come out. But I'd also like to ask you now, outside of the figure, what was it like working with CBS and with Brent Spiner? Did he actually have to do an approval process with you guys for the figure?
Yeah, so we're pretty hands on with CBS. We're walking with them at each step of the way. So that's kind of amazing because they're like the verification tool for Star Trek, basically. So that's really awesome to have them next to us, kind of backing us as well, approving. We do it at every step. So when we get the 3D rendering of a new figure, CBS is there to approve it, and we cannot start until that's approved. So at each step, they approve it, and then we go to the head sculpts, and then they have to get that approved, and then after that, we'll send the head sculpt folder photos to the actors like Brent. So he actually not all actors will approve the figureheads, but for this specific one, he did approve the head sculpt. So they do look it over and see if it accurately represents themselves. So I think that's a beautiful thing about EXO-6 is that we're trying to blend both the character embodiment, like Data, like who Data is as a whole, and also the actor who embodies this character. So having Brett there to approve everything, make sure it looks like him, and as well from our side, like Nanjin will look it over to make sure that both Data and Brent are represented in our characters.
Now, this data figure is based on First Contact, so I'm curious here, do you guys have the rights to make figures from only this movie? Is it just from all the movies, or do you have the rights for all of Trek as a whole?
Yeah, we actually have all of Trek, so it's a worldwide license for Star Trek 1/6 figures. So we're able to sell worldwide. If anybody is interested, you can go back to our website. We do ship worldwide and internationally. As well, that we will work with other distributors. We'll have them listed on our page, and we'll be promoting on our page as well if you need any more information. But on the basis of the license, we do have Star Trek for 1/6, all of Star Trek universe, and officially sold worldwide.
That's very awesome because I'm still waiting at some point for someone to do some new like toys from Deep Space Nine or from Voyage or something like that. Because it's really just been TNG and original series forever. So hopefully you guys can get to Cisco because I need a Cisco figure. Got to make that happen.
Yeah, hopefully we can get there. I'm looking at with the high hope here as well.
So I'm also wondering, you guys are doing 12-inch figures, and we talked about other companies who've done toys, and so McFarlane did Star Trek toys in like their 6-inch, 7-inch kind of scale. Diamond has done things in a similar size scale. Mego's off doing 8 inches. Mezco
Mhm.
did 6-inch figures. So and Titans have also done little minifigures, 2.5 inches. So a lot of different scales, a
Mhm.
lot of different companies. What was the decision to make these toys 12-inch premium figures, not just be like 6-inch articulated or 5 points figures in 3/3 scale, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think that Nanjin already, like 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, thought that the 1/6 market was probably the most accurate representation of the characters other than the other sizing. And he saw an opportunity there to kind of tweak it to make it even more realistic than other ones. And I think that this level is 1/6 is a little bit easier to take into that luxury market as well, just because it just like is the right size to be displayed. Little tiny ones wouldn't look as good on your shelf as it would if it was like all of them one together. But if you had just 1/6, it looks pretty good by itself. It takes up some space, it's standing on its own. It's confident by itself. It's kind of a love from at the very beginning. 15 years ago, Nanjin really fell in love, and Dave fell in love with this 1/6 market, and they have been collectors before in the 1/6 market too. So they've definitely come from the bottom to the top. So they were once collectors themselves, and Dave and Nanjin have both made a name for themselves in the collector community, just being collectors and having something to say, being thought leaders there. So that's kind of the inspiration and where we took it.
So, how many figures is EXO-6 planning to release in this being your debut year 2021? And kind of looking forward if you're able to say anything, how many figures are you planning to typically do each year?
Yeah, I don't know if we have a specific number for that, but we're going to try to do at least one a quarter. So we'll see if we can keep to that pace, but that's our goal, and it's looking pretty good from the side so far.
And now we've been talking purely about EXO-6 as a Star Trek company. Will you guys be pursuing, or do you have other licenses beyond Star Trek?
Right now, we are very focused on Star Trek. I think that Star Trek collectors deserve this focused time. As you said, there has not really been that many people who have took the license through and through. So I think Nanjin is trying to make a point here that we are not going to be focusing on any other licenses for the time being, and really trying to get Star Trek lifted off the ground here.
So, Charmaine, I know you guys have just officially launched now the pre-order for this. So, for folks who want to check out this toy in person and hopefully get it in their hands too, how can my audience members do that?
Yes, so we will be showing our figures on pre-order on our own website, EXO-6.com, and you can view the figures there and pre-order them there. But if you have a distributor that you like to use, and they're pretty big, we probably are on there too. So go ahead and take a look there. But if you need more information, you can always go to our social media at Star Trek EXO-6, and we'll have more information about where you can purchase from your favorite distributors or from us, of course.
And by the way, Charmaine, for all the Trekkies out there, I know they all want to have their favorite characters done. Can they message you guys about characters they want to see, or what can we do about that?
Of course, our goal is to go wide and deep. So if you are excited about your character and your favorite character, you can always message us on our social media at Star Trek EXO-6. I'll be on the other side, and I will relay the message to Nanjin and Dave, and we can get your voices heard and hopefully get your favorite character created.
And how about you, Charmaine? Who are you looking forward to getting done the most?
You know, I have some favorite characters, but I don't think I should say too much here just in case. But I'm sure that a lot of people will be happy to see a woman even in on this team, and they can expect to have a woman's perspective in these characters as well. I think a lot of people will be happy to hear that.
All right, well, awesome. That's great news to hear, Charmaine. And thank you so much for chatting with us today about EXO-6 and the Star Trek figures. And of course, I do have to ask you one final question, and I think I already know the answer to this, but who's next?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to mention that since this will be a first contact line, we'll have two other figures from first contact being sold with data. So I bet you can guess who it is. We're going to have a card there, one, and we're going to have a statue of the Borg Queen on 1/6 scale. So data will be sold in this three-part collection that you can finish for first contact, and they will be in their first contact the next generation uniforms. So that's super exciting, and I'm so excited for you guys to hear about it and to start thinking about your collections as a whole.
I know you can't see this from me, but right now I got goosebumps going on when you said that. So that's really great. Thank you so much for sharing that big news with us. Cannot wait to see how those figures are going to
Of
look.
course. I wanted to save the secret until we were actually on camera to get that excitement going.
Oh, you're evil. I like that. I like that. Well, yeah, Charmaine, thank you so much. Everybody out there who is a Star Trek fan, you guys need to check out EXO-6. Start following them on social media. And of course, head over to the website, pick up the figure, pre-order it. I'm going to be doing that right now. So, yeah, again, Charmaine, thanks so much for your time today. And for everybody else out there today watching, stick around because there's more nerd news today. Toy Fair 2021 coming right up.